Welcome to Ask Diz. I'm Diz, and this is the show where you ask and I answer your most pressing running questions. Let's get to it. Today's question comes from Greg, and it's an audio question. Greg, take it away.
When doing heart rate training, I often find myself having to run slower to keep my heart rate down. What are some good ways to keep good running form while running at a slower pace?
Yeah, so Greg, there's no question that when it comes to heart rate training, whether it's an 80-20 style, the zones, maffetone, whatever it is, when it comes to heart rate training, there are going to be times that you got to slow down, sometimes slow down to a walk to keep your heart rate below whatever limits you have set for yourself to make sure that your easy runs actually stay easy, which is super important, super helpful for your growth as a runner and also to avoid a lot of common injuries. That doesn't necessarily prevent every injury, but it definitely goes a long way towards keeping you healthy. So how do you do that? Because good form is another thing that's important to making sure that you don't become injured as well. And there's no question that if you've been running for a while, or even if you're fairly new to running slow can feel awkward. Running slow, running slow, keeping it easy, it just feels a little bit off. And there's a reason for that. The faster we run, the closer we get to a full sprint, the more natural our form just becomes. It's pre-wired, hardwired, evolved, whatever, created, whatever, your belief system is. We were designed to run pretty cut and dry as far as human anatomy, muscles that we've developed, things like that over time. And when we're going as close to all out, our form just improves. It's not, that's really not something that gets debated. It's pretty evident. The faster you run, probably the more smooth everything starts to feel for you. But there's a trade-off there, of course, because you're running hard, your heart rate's going through the roof, and that's not what we're trying to do if heart rate training is something that you're into. So to answer your question then, Greg, how do you help to maintain good form? What can you do to make sure that your form doesn't go to hell in a handbasket as you slow down to keep your heart rate in the right zone? A few things. One, just practice makes perfect. That's maybe the first thing, is that it's going to feel awkward at first, but the more you kind of stay disciplined, the more you keep it easy, keep those runs where they need to be from an effort level, the more it's going to start to feel a bit more natural, and the more natural it will become. Now, you can develop bad habits, so you don't want to just go all laissez-faire and really have your form go sideways on you. But no matter how great your form is, when you first start slowing down, it's going to feel awkward. So you got to get through that awkward phase first. Now, how do you make sure that your form stays hopefully on point? First of all, you got to be focused on it. You want to be focused on it. It's going to feel awkward. It's going to be probably a little bit different stride pattern for you. So, you do have to be intentional. You have to be focused. One thing that I try to focus on doing is to keep my chest up, my shoulders back, all right? Because the last thing you want to do is get all hunched over, which is easy to do. It can happen if you're not paying attention. So stay up. That's going to help keep your chest up and your shoulders back. Even though you're running easy, just keep up, right? Another thing that you can do, another thing that I try to do, is make sure I'm focusing on landing with my feet directly under my body. I don't want to start overstriding. I don't want to start reaching and landing with my foot out in front of me, because that sets up a whole kinetic chain of issues that can definitely lead to some injuries. So even though you're running slower, running easier, which should help to reduce the risk of injury, if you start getting lazy with your stride, start to overstride a little bit, then you're probably counteracting, if not even totally negating, and then still increasing your injury risk by overstriding. So focus on keeping your stride, or keeping your foot striking right below you. It doesn't matter as much if you're heel striking, midfoot striking, forefoot striking. Those things kind of come out in the wash as long as your feet are landing as close to under your center of mass as possible. So keep it underneath your body. One rule of thumb that I've heard in the past is that if you're looking straight ahead, but your peripheral vision looking down, if you can see your foot during your stride, then that means you're probably overstriding. If you're kind of looking straight ahead, can't see your foot when it's striking the ground, then you're probably okay. Another thing that you can do to try to encourage maintaining good form, even though you're running at a slower pace, is try to think about the idea of pushing the ground behind you as far as possible. So kind of maintaining your foot position on the ground as long as possible while your leg is extending behind you, preferably from the hip. So you want to extend from the hip, land underneath you, and maintain longer ground contact behind you. And those are kind of two things that'll definitely help to maintain your form, improve your form if you're not doing those things already. Another thing that's kind of maybe different than where you might have thought I was going to go with this answer has honestly less to do about running and more to do about strength training, working your body, working your upper body, your back, your core. Need to be doing some strength training because those types of exercises definitely help improve your muscular endurance, your postural positioning, which is going to help to maintain good form as well. Because again, a lot of times we start to hunch forward, we start to lean more from the hips, lean forward at the hips, which is what we don't want to do. So staying upright, staying tall, working your back muscles, working your core muscles in the gym or at home, get a pull-up bar, do some planks, whatever you need to do, working on building some muscular strength and some muscular endurance is going to help you to maintain your good form as well. So those are some things that you can work on, Greg. If you need some more tips, let me know. If you have other questions or if anybody has any questions for me to answer on a future episode of the Ask Diz show, send them to me, askdiz@dizruns.com. You can send a text version or you can be like Greg, send me a voicemail. Just take out your phone, record a voice memo on whatever phone device that you might have and send that to me as an email attachment. Again, the email address somewhere on the screen, askdiz@dizruns.com. Greg, hope that helps answer your question. Thank you for submitting it. Really appreciate you and appreciate the support. And thank you everybody for watching. And until next time, y'all have a great run. We'll talk soon. See you.